5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am taking a bit of time out from my day on my lunch break to make a video today and to speak about the social issue of LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. And I think people kind of treat it like a modern day social aspect that we're dealing with. And I think when you delve into history, you see a completely different story, because homosexuality has gone all the way back to even before Christianity. The transgender side of things, there's a lot less in terms of history, especially when it comes to like writings on the subject. But when you look at the homosexuality side of it, there is a lot of history there. So it's been around since before Christianity, and I think because of the traditional values that were upheld in Western societies, that the likes of homosexuality were always kind of considered wrong, but they always existed. And so with religion playing a part in that, you have got the fact that when religion was so prominent, that the masses kind of considered homosexuality to be immoral or sinful. And I think as we've changed, and religion probably not being so prominent in Western societies now, that we've become a lot more socially accepting. But I mean, you can go back to the Buggery Act of 1533, where it was basically illegal to have anal sex between a man and another man, a man and a woman, or a man or a woman and an animal. And that act was actually around until 1861, so it was going for a long time, to be fair. And you finally started to see things change on homosexuality, I think, in the 1900s. And I think in my lifetime, really, to be fair, a gay couple would find it difficult to walk down the street holding hands. I remember when I was young, and now that doesn't exist. Okay, it does exist in some places, some countries. But I'm trying to take a neutral view on this, because I think it's important that we apply empathy in all wonders of life. Everybody, we're lucky we live in an area in Western society where you can be who you want to be, which is really important. And so when you look at the transgender side of things from the LGBT, that transgender again has also been around for a long time, but there are two different types of transgender, I think it is fair to say. One of them being where a man believes he is a woman, or a woman believes they are a man. trying to be really careful with my phrasing here. I don't want to offend anybody. That's not what this channel is about. But essentially, you have to look at it. There are also other aspects that come into the transgender, whether that be what's the word I'm looking for? There's an element to it that is satire, if you may say, and that is it's termed as something you don't hear very much of, but autogynephilia. It's a little bit windy up here. Autogynephilia, which is basically where it's they get a kick out of it, basically. And I think this is where people that are genuinely transgender will face issues, because like most things, it's been hijacked, and people are using it for their own personal gain. And then we go down the route of the prisons, and men claiming to be living the life of a woman going into a female prisons, and of course a lot around toilets. So I think, to summarize, Western values have changed, partly because of religion not being so prominent, that it's allowed for people of certain minorities that have always probably been around. You can go back as far as you want, it was always there. They were just hiding, I guess, and now we're in a position where they can come out and be who they want to be and be open about it. And I think maybe more so in America, that they've worked so hard to advertise. I mean, the rainbow flag, it's everywhere, and in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it's become too much. And I know I have some really close friends who are gay, and a family member who is transgender, and I've spoken to them about these issues, and they agree with me with that statement, that it's gone too far, it's too much, because essentially the whole kind of rainbow flag movement really was to try and gain acceptance. That's all they wanted to do. They wanted to try and gain acceptance from a majority rather than a minority, so that they could go about living their lives. And it's kind of gone so far now, I think, where it's doing the opposite effect. It's now doing harm to the cause. And that's where you need to draw a line under it, because no matter what you are, in all walks of life, and I always say this, you just want to do well in life, and you want to get on and be who you want to be. And I think that's absolutely fine. Most people I speak to, they say, look, be who you want to be, do what you want to do, as long as you're not hurting or insulting anybody, but don't rub it in my face. And I think that's a fair statement. I really, really do. And so we've kind of got to try and find a balance there in that. We've got to try and find a balance. So you have to bear with me here. I'm looking at my notes. And so my examples, as I just stated, I've got a friend who I grew up with in secondary school, and he was my best friend in secondary school. We were really, really close. And I'm going to refer to him as G, to protect his identity, because I don't know whether he'd be happy with me revealing his name. And so I grew up with G, and I never really. So some people, they say, oh, you could tell they were going to be gay or whatever, and I could never really see it coming. But we did used to wind him up, me and a couple of my friends, they will laugh at this story because we do reference it all the time. We used to say that he was going to be a gay TV host when he was older. And so then you fast forward, and I remember the very tentative conversation he had with me when he was trying to tell me. And, you know, I feel supportive because at the end of the day, that's up to him what he wants to do, just as I'm free to wear what clothes I want to wear or go and be interested in what hobby I want to be interested in. That is the joys of the freedoms that we have, that we mustn't take for granted. And so he tried to tell me, and well, he did tell me. And, you know, I think he was probably quite apprehensive about telling me, but I was, you know, fully accepting and supportive because he's my friend, he's a person. And whether I agree with it or not, that's my issue, not his issue. To whoever he tells, that is their issue to deal with, and they'll deal it with in their own way. And he has had people who were unaccepting of it. Some, you know, pretty important people in his life, and so he's having to, or has had to, shall I say, you know, find his own way in life without those people around him, but with the people that have supported and, you know, and accepted who he is. And then, so I've got another friend who I'm going to refer to as T. And so I've got G and T, not as in gin and tonic. But T came into my life at probably in my late teens, and when I started to get sort of close to them. And T basically is older than me, and decided that they couldn't go on anymore being the person who they were pretending to be on a day-to-day basis, and had pretended to be for a long, long time, and hidden these feelings and emotions because it wasn't socially acceptable, it wasn't right. So, and this is a really delicate area to broach, because if you have somebody who is about to kill themselves, then you consider that person to have mental health problems, and we refer them to the help that they should rightly get. So where do you stand if somebody is transgender, or wants to be transgender, wants to transition because they feel they are in the wrong body, and they try and kill themselves? You know, you can consider that to be a mental health issue. I personally do consider it to be a mental health issue at that point, and they should get the help that they need, which is really, really important. Because, as I said at the start, we have to apply empathy to this. These people are people, they have feelings, and one race is a human race. It's not difficult. We've just got to support and look after each other, and then we all prosper. It's as simple as that. So going back to this person, at a late point in their life, really, decided they just could not go on any longer and needed to be the person who they felt they were inside. And so they are now living the life of that person, and it has had an impact. They too, as has the G that I described, T has also lost some really, really important people close to them in their life, and has had to adapt to life without them people, which has been difficult. But of course, you've got to kind of look at that on the flip side of the coin of the impact that it's had on them people. So it's a really, really difficult area to cover because there are a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings involved in all of that, and impacts on people's lives. Some, I guess, impacts put on some people's lives that they've never even really asked for. So it is really, really difficult for these people to carry on, whether that be the person who needed to make the change in their life or the people around them that have had that impact put on them through no fault of their own. So that's my stories. That's the relation to my experiences. And again, with the transgender person, I support them wholly, have supported them wholly, and to this day, see her very regularly. And, look, still the same person, regardless. But, still get funny looks from people who don't know the story, and, we've got to strike a balance. And so I go back to the toilet issue, and I want to just quickly touch on what I think my proposals would be to solve these issues, because clearly there are a lot of women out there that do not want transgender people in their toilets. And I do understand those concerns, especially when you take the prison stories and the people that are hijacking a genuine cause that's been around for a long, long time and using it for their own personal benefit that is wrong over right. So I think we should give transgender people their own, God, I don't know how to describe it. But for starters, why don't we allocate them their own toilet? And then that could just be a case of having, say, the disabled toilet is now the disabled and trans toilets. And that's not to isolate these people, because it gives them the confidence to go and use the toilet. Because how do you think a transgender person feels when they walk into women's toilets thinking, I might walk in here and upset somebody or offend somebody or really be approached by somebody who is angry? It's difficult for both sides. And so we need to kind of find a balance. So how we approach this, there's a lot happening in the world of sport. Again, also, why don't we give transgender people their own leagues, their own sports categories? Because essentially, just like the gays, the transgenders and the lesbians, the LGBT, they just want to be accepted. And well, that is it, really. A really, really delicate subject. All in all I want to say really is empathy to be applied. And let's just strike a balance, because we can find a balance for those people that are offended, perhaps because of their religion, or the people who don't agree with it, or the people who are on the other side and really, really do support it and want to see mass acceptance. Let's find that balance, a strike in the middle, and it can be done. Anyway, that's today's subject covered. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and see you on the next one.